As a sales leader, you're responsible for making sure your training budget goes on the right coaching and training. But how do you know you've spent it well? I'm Martin Coburn, and I'm the Managing Director at the Win Academy, where we help sales leaders develop sales professionals who have the confidence, belief, and capability to win. Here are 3 things to consider. Mindset needs to be part of the training. All sales training, in my view, should have a mindset component. Why? Because quite frankly, people often know what to do, but they're not necessarily using what they know. And that's down to confidence. It's a bit like being with a client. You know the questions you want to ask, but do you have the confidence to ask those questions? There are things we all love about selling and meeting new clients, but fear can also play its part. Quite often you've waited an age to get this appointment, and the last thing you want to do is mess it up. There's a lot at stake and you want to make a positive impression. So nerves kick in, confidence goes down, and you're not necessarily going to be at your best. Keep it real. One of my pet hates is when somebody approaches me in a training session and says something like, well, that's all very well, but in the real world. And I'm thinking, well, what other world is there? There is only one world, and that is the real world. So we have to make sure that whatever we're saying or whatever we're doing with our training is it absolutely relates to the world that they see themselves in. The solution for this, in our view, is what we call real-life simulations. We use real-life case studies and set them up in such a way it literally feels like being with a client. The point is, people get the ideas in their head. Cognitively, they've understood it. But does it actually show up in practice? They might know the theory, but is the theory showing up where it really matters most? And therefore, what we have to do is we have to provide an environment where sellers can practice in that real environment. Then what they do is they make a positive association with it and think, I've used this before, I know that it works, and I'm going to apply it where it matters most. Nose to nose, eyeball to eyeball with their clients. Accountability and sustainability. Listen, the biggest mistake, and this is often made, is to neglect the post-training day experience. You know, there's so much energy going into planning the training course, content, exercises, resources. The post-day, the follow-up, it all gets forgotten. In fact, we all get very excited, patting ourselves on the back for a day well delivered, gloating over our amazing feedback. That doesn't mean that you've finished the assignment. Actually, far from it. It's just the start. The real work, in my view, starts after the training, with embedding the new habits. And unless action is taken immediately, all that learning, I'm sorry to say, will soon fade, and all that initial enthusiasm will be lost, and old behaviors will unlikely change. So it's critical to make learning part of what you do daily. That's the way to build the new habit. Making commitments and having a means to follow up and be held accountable by your colleagues, by sales leaders, that is what is going to keep us honest and true to those commitments. That is what will transfer from knowledge to understanding to actually being a practitioner. So really important we focus on accountability. So 3 factors to consider when you're spending your training budget. Number 1, make sure that mindset is part of the training. 2, keep it real. Keep it in the real world. Make sure the training represents what they experience when they're out with their clients. And thirdly, and most importantly, even critically, accountability. How are you going to build sustainability and accountability such that they follow through on the commitments they made on the training day itself?